President Biden hailing the U.S. evacuation from Afghanistan as an extraordinary success. That's a quote. Despite American citizens being left behind and 13 U.S. service members losing their lives. And now the Taliban and its supporters are parading through the streets, hoisting fake caskets in celebration of those American lives lost. That's in Khost, Afghanistan. Joining me now, former U.S. Army Intelligence and Special Operations and Strategic Advisor at White Fox Defense, Brett Velicovich. Brett, you're an Afghanistan war veteran. Tell me your thoughts about what we're seeing take place now. And I keep saying this, we have laid the foundation and recreated the exact environment in Afghanistan that led to attacks on U.S. embassies, the USS Cole, and ultimately on our homeland 20 years ago.
Well, good morning, Dig. And I mean, look, you couldn't have summed it up better when you said the Biden administration's new slogan should be, we only leave 10% of our Americans behind on the battlefield. I mean, in what world do we live in when leaving even a single American there, who wants to get out is success? I mean, have you ever in the history of our country heard of a situation where we've knowingly left Americans behind who needed our help in a war zone? And to take a victory lap on this, quote, extraordinary success of these airlifts is just a disgrace. I mean, this administration is so obsessed with scoring political points and saving face during this mess instead of doing their job to protect our citizens. And even during this recent press conference, he keeps talking about these unanimous recommendations that he received from his military advisors to keep this August 31st deadline and leave Americans home. I mean, I don't know one military soldier or one military commander who would ever say it's okay to leave Americans behind. Not one. And so who is really advising him? Are these the same people who made the unanimous recommendation that assumed the Afghan forces would lay down their arms and that they could fight the Taliban? Are these the same advisors who said they weren't warned by veterans and members of the intel community who said this exact scenario would happen? I mean, this is just a disgrace. And this isn't the end. It's just the beginning. Just because this last military plane left in Afghanistan doesn't mean this isn't over and that the country isn't going to descend further into chaos.
Talk about the future terror risk and how we fight that. You hear the phrase repeated over and over again by Biden and people in his administration, the over-the-horizon capabilities. The drone strikes over the weekend, that was related to that. But again, when we do not have eyes and ears on the ground in Afghanistan, we don't have a CAA presence there. Talk about how quickly we will start to see terror attacks again. It's not if, but when.
Look, this is starting. It's starting up now, and this administration wants this to go away. They want to wake up and act like all the threats that we face over there are just going to disappear, and that's just not the case. There's a lot of threats we face over there. They're very disastrous and real consequences to us leaving the region. And look, I don't want a massive presence in Afghanistan. That's not what I'm saying. I did 7 combat tours of duty between Iraq and Afghanistan. I've seen enough war for multiple lifetimes. I'm not going to say we need a ground war, but again, we face a lot of threats. And by letting our guard down and allowing the groups like the Taliban and ISIS-K and the Khani Network and Al-Qaeda to regroup and remain unchecked is very, very risky, very dangerous. And now we've lost a lot of our intelligence capability. We've removed our eyes and ears on the ground. We've removed a major counterterrorism capability from one of the most important regions of the world. It's not just about Afghanistan. It's about the entire region. And while these drone strikes are great, in a way, you still need people on the ground to confirm and deny this information. You can't just do it all from the air. Our drone program was very successful in Pakistan against Al-Qaeda because Al-Qaeda leadership, they didn't have anywhere to go. If they went into Afghanistan, they had troops there to stomp them down as well. Now they can go wherever they want. So it's not going to just remain in Afghanistan. You're going to have these leaders within ISIS-K that are battle-ready, hardened soldiers that are planning and just waiting to conduct another attack. And so I think the fact that we've left, we've just really lost a lot of our influence and our ability to fight terrorism around the world.
Right. That was one of the things about that I find so disturbing is that the recommendation was just for 2,500 to 4,500 troops in the region, just to make sure we had a presence, as we still do in Japan or South Korea or even Germany. And let me bring in terms of not just kind of creating a vacuum in Afghanistan for the Al-Qaeda and ISIS-K and the Taliban, the Haqqani network to be ascendant, but the Pentagon is now shrugging off the concerns about the U.S. weapons left behind, insisting that the Taliban poses no threat with these weapons. How is that possible, Brett?
It's impossible. I mean, and if it's not the Taliban, it's going to be another group, or it's going to go. These weapons are going to go to the highest bidder. We lost an enormous amount of capability. We've left Black Hawks out. We've left drones. We've left special operations equipment over there from some of these caches that I'm seeing in these Taliban social media posts where they've clearly got access to other weapons. You're seeing videos now where I'm confused on whether or not it's Taliban or special forces, because literally they're walking around with U.S.-made gear, and so it's going to wind up on another battlefield. It's going to get worse. And eventually, if the Taliban has too many weapons, they'll just give them to ISIS-K, they'll give them to Al-Qaeda, and we'll be worse off no matter what. So I just don't see this situation going away anytime soon, and it's just disgraceful. And sadly, what's happening overseas with these Americans left behind, I think, unfortunately, we're going to start seeing this go privatized, right? We don't have a lot of military aircraft over there, but we're going to have private citizens that are going to go in there, unfortunately, and they're going to help a lot of these other Americans get out. And they're going to do everything they can to help these interpreters and the Americans still left over there, and that's very interesting to me that going to go that way.
Well, speaking of those people left behind, one interpreter who helped rescue Joe Biden when he was a senator is one of those stuck behind enemy lines. That interpreter issuing a plea directly to the president in the Wall Street Journal, asking Biden to help him out, his wife and his 4 children, help them escape the Taliban. Brett, it's at every turn, it's the unthinkable and the horrific.
Yeah, Biden doesn't care. I mean, this interpreter is one of the many left behind. We focused so much of our effort on Kabul. We forgot about other parts of the country where people were hiding and running away from the Taliban. Anyone who helped America, our citizens, we should still make every single effort to get them out. This interpreter is one of many that stood there and helped the U.S. for years. These people showed up when we needed them, and we need to show up at a time when they need us. All right, our government's over here touting the end of this war, but we've clearly got a lot more work to do. And I hope that journalists keep holding the Biden administration's feet to the fire to get these guys out.
Right. And the message from Biden and company is don't trust America. That's why it's such a stain on our honor. And makes the world a more dangerous place, even the United States. Brett Velicovich, thank you so much for being here this morning.